To welcome everybody to today's India e-commerce program session that will run for about 2 hours. Just as we're admitting all the attendees, I'd just like to ask everybody just to mute themselves and also turn off their video. If you do have any questions throughout the session, please type them in the chat function. And if we do come to a unique Q&A time, feel free to turn on your video so that you can ask your question. This session will be recorded so that this can be viewed after. For those that don't know me, my name is Andrew Higgs and I'm manager of the Business Advisory Services team here at Trade and Investment Queensland. And we do have members of our India team, my colleagues that are on the phone today. And I'm also joined by Simon Cooch, who is our digital officer, who's helped organise today's session. I'd like to introduce Shiraz Engineer, the head of Asialink Business Academy, who will be emceeing today's session. Thanks, Shiraz.
Super. Thank you very much for that. Welcome, Andrew. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the lands on which we gather here today. I'm on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I'd also like to extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are with us at this point in time, or maybe joining us shortly. Now, I'm gonna kick off with sharing my slides. I will get a quick thumbs up when I can see that everyone can see my slide. It should have e-commerce in India with the digital mobile, and I can see a few smiling faces. So I'm going to take that as you can see it. Now, today's session is designed in such a way that we've got experts joining us from either on the ground in India, or if they're in Australia, they have actually been in India and have only returned less than 24 hours ago. So everyone that we have talking to you today are on the ground, have deep insights and expertise, and it truly is an incredible opportunity to understand and talk to these experts, which is why it's also the session's been designed in such a way to have and make sure that you're engaging with our speakers and the content. So I'm going to request that please do not stay silent. There's very much going to be an opportunity to talk and get reflections as we move through the session. Now, I'd like to, as in terms of just framing, in terms of framing this, we've started off by doing a webinar at the start, and this was last month, where we're talking at a high level about understanding India's e-commerce ecosystem. But today's session, where we are over here, is very much designed to get you as businesses, whether you're in beauty, whether you're in food and beverage, or you're in sports apparels and things like it. It's all about getting you to understand what are the different elements that you need to consider as you think about India's e-commerce landscape, and we'll break that down into sort of 4 parts. And before I jump into those 4 parts, I wanted to just ensure that everyone knows when it comes to e-commerce and it comes to how Queensland government and specifically Trade Investment Queensland is supporting businesses. If you do have any questions after the session, please reach out to Simon. Simon's details are on the screen. I might also ask Simon to come on screen briefly and give a quick wave so everyone knows who Simon is. Perfect. Thanks for that, Simon. Any questions, whether it's now or later as well, please feel free. Make sure you remember this face and contact details on the screen. Now, in terms of today's session, we've got 4 incredible speakers that we're going to hear from. We've got Prasita Priya, who is the account manager from Amazon. We've got Dr. Lucky Yadav, who is the CEO of Globali. Then we've got Jonathan Cox speaking to us, who is the CEO of RooLife Group Asia. And then we're going to hear from Anshuk Aggarwal, who's the co-founder of Adyogi. The way we've structured this is to really give you that view of when Prasita talks to give you the view of the platform and Amazon specifically, and here's some insights from her perspective, and then what you need as a business to move onto the platform. And then as we hear from Dr. Lucky Yadav, it's really about understanding a market entry into India through platforms. What does that mean? How do you think about the regulatory environment? How do you think about your launch strategy? We'll get Jonathan Cox to come through, and Jonathan again brings a lot of experience of having dealt with taking brands international, specifically within Asia, and then now within India as well. So we'll hear from Jonathan's perspective as an agency that's based in Australia, what is it that you need to know, prepare for, to help move into India? And then we'll continue to hear from Anshuk as he talks about a slightly different strategy, but one that you need to have on your roadmap. So it's for India, it's not just about the platforms. You also have to think about direct to consumer, which is the D2C model. And Anshuk will talk about that to really think of having a complete holistic strategy. Now, with that, I'd like to invite Prasita, and I want to just make sure that Prasita also has the ability to share her screen. So Prasita, if you're able to come in to provide your sort of quick overview. I know we said about 10 to 15 minute presentation on Amazon, and then we'll follow that up with some questions. I want to make sure that you've got the ability to share your screen.
Yes, 1 second. Just let me know once my screen is visible.
Perfect.
Is it visible?
Not as yet. It's showing my face at this point in time.
Yeah. Okay, 1 second just.
So Prasita, the screen's visible. It's just perhaps the window that you have it on. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope it's visible now.
Mode. Yeah, okay, if we could go into presentation mode.
Yes.
Perfect. Excellent.
Visible?
Perfect. All good.
So I'll give you a brief introduction before I start my Amazon presentation. Amazon is basically one of the topmost platform in India. It's been more than 10 years now, and we have other platforms emerging up in India that are equally good. But if you talk about the ranking, Amazon India still tops among the e-commerce network. Now, I hope, Shiraz, you have given a little introduction, like how my team works. My team is basically a global sales team, if you may say. So global sales, little introduction, like how global sales work in Amazon. So global sales has two parts, which is one imports and exports. I belong to exports team. If I say exports, it means from out of country network to Amazon India. For us, it will be imports, and for you, it will be exports, basically. So, yeah. This is a little summary, like if you come to India and how India is going to be. Amazon is a trending, lot of trending products coming up. For example, I think you're a mixture of all the categories. We recently onboarded one of the earplugs, which came from Brazil, and it was one of the topmost hotcakes selling in India, which was not the category which we explored before. So similar to that, we have a lot of category which is experimenting in India, and they are getting a good response from the customers as the entire the trend is changing in India, like how we have a mindset before. It has completely changed in India. I think when Dr. Lucky will take it up, she'll explain it in a very detailed manner. So this is India's e-commerce overview. We have a huge population, as you already know. This is what it is. World's second highest population and fifth largest economy. This is not very updated data, but 25 estimates now. We are going towards it. Mostly, if you want to take a screenshot of this, it is okay. And later on, I'll share the presentation as well. Can I go ahead? Next page. Next slide. Can I go ahead? Or do you want me to stay here for a bit?
No, all good. I think this is good. We've seen that overview.
Sure.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So this is Amazon Marketplace overview. This is again, as I said, Amazon India is growing day by day. We have reached approximately 99.6% PIN codes. We have warehouses in all the states basically, and in North we have in Delhi, in one city we can say we have 4 warehouses. In major cities like Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, and Eastern Kolkata, we have 4 warehouses which can cater almost everywhere of India. So we are reaching each and every pin codes. There are very small pin codes, very small villages where Amazon now this year is a part of our FBA network. So that is again one of the important steps which Amazon India has taken this year. Going to the next slide.
Can I just point out as well, Prasita, I know we say
Yes.
PIN codes, but in Australia, PIN code just means postcode. So
Oh,
for any of
okay,
our Australian, so for any of our for our
Okay.
Australian businesses, we just mean postcodes. Perfect. Thanks, Prasita.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So this is basically overview of marketing, how we do marketing in Amazon India. As you already, I think some of the you might be even not as a seller, you must be present in the Amazon as a customer. So this is how we go in the marketing. We have in India, we have deals. Maybe for Amazon US or any of the marketplaces, we don't have deals running on every time. But in India, this is a culture kind of thing. Like people love when they have the goods on deals. So that is how we will guide you later on when you're coming to India, like how to go ahead with that. So this is one which is very important, which I would want to take one session to help you with. This is another shopping events we have. For example, in January, we have our Republic Day. So similarly, in India, almost every 2 months, we have festivals coming up, small festivals, big festivals. And now when we are talking about festivals, you might have heard about Diwali. Diwali, we call it, that's a major festival for entire Amazon, and it goes for approximately 1 month, almost 30 days. So that is the biggest festival. So if you, there's a saying in India, if you don't have any sale during 6 months, you can have entire year covered in just 1 month. So that is how it is. We have social media marketing. We have paid marketing opportunities wherein you have co-op packages, and if you want to be on Amazon platform whenever during the festivals or non-festival time, it is over there. We will help you later on. We'll have a complete session over it. Now moving towards.
Sorry, Prasita, I just wanted to go back to that previous slide, and I think the main implication for Australian brands when they think about, when we hear the word deals, from an Australian brand perspective, the key thing is understanding your pricing, because your pricing is also going to be determined during those different festivals, because during Diwali, you might even have higher volumes, but you might have to look at giving higher percentage of discounts being applied over there. So with those deals, the key thing for Australian brands to think about is it's not just one pricing. There's going to be different pricing that you need to be thinking about during different points in time as well.
Sure. Let me explain it in a detailed manner so that everybody, if they have a question, they can raise it out. So normally deals, if we say it is not the discounted price, deals, if we say it is the selling price of the product. For example, if you have any product at 100 rupees, which is the maximum retail price. For any product, you have to have a maximum retail price. That is a government norm. So maximum retail price is not the selling price of any product. So for example, if the MRP, which is printed on the product is 100 rupees, the selling price could be 90 rupees. The selling price could be 95 rupees. So what we do, we have a maximum retail price, which is there on the carton, or you may say the packaging. But on the Amazon platform, the selling price will be the deal price. And if I say the deal price, you will get a deal tag. For example, in normal everyday deal, you will get a deal of the day kind of a tag, which says that deal is running. Otherwise, it is just the selling price. So you do not get confused with deal is an additional discount. No, it is not. It's just a platform which a platform uses a kind of display which all of the sellers basically use, and not all of them. Whosoever has whosoever is in touch with the Amazon partner, or say you can say account managers, because for others it is chargeable thing, but if you have any assisted Amazon partner, it will not be chargeable for you. Plus, deals give you additional visibility. So and coupon also same, it gives additional visibility. There are teams which we call deals team. What they do, they pick up randomly like 2,000 deals or so, and they give additional visibility from their own side. So that is why I'm saying I'll take an entire session to understand how deals and marketing practices run in Amazon. That is completely different from any other marketplaces which we have in US or UK or Australia, everywhere. Yeah. Shall I go to next?
Super, that's great to know. Thanks, Prasida.
This is how home page looks like. I'll give you this is so as I said in the beginning, I belong to global sales team. So global sales team owns a page on Amazon India that is called international page. So this is a screenshot of international page, how we promote our brands specifically, which is coming through us. This is squad card. Quad card, and there is one category card, one is 9 card. So I'll explain one by one. Quad card is like 4 ASINs or 4 SKUs at a time. For it could be any category, anything. Like for example, in December we had 4 brands. So quad card will contain all 4 international brand. Once you click on the ASIN or the page over here, it will take you to the direct entire brand. So for example, there's a picture of a washing machine. So if you click on washing machine, it will take you to the brand which has been launched this month. So now coming to category card, this is basically controlled by the category. So for example, we have launched one brand and we have category help. They will try to give visibility through them. And 9 card is again our home page, international page, which OC or our global sales team owns. Here again, we will try to, give exposure to the brand and the ASINs which you have. It could be, see, again, it is monthly. So if you have one brand, one month, it will be completely dedicated to one brand. If we have 5 brands coming up, then it will be dedicated to all 5 brands. So basically, this is monthly homepage visibility, which we give from our side. And that is from global sales side. Now coming to OC front. OC front is the page which I said, international page, which is the main page wherein every brands which we have, or maybe want to have a brand week or so, they can be that brand can be displayed over here. Now we coming to category page. Category page is owned by category. So this is completely paid thing. And we have a tie-up with the category. If we want any kind of exposure to our brand, we'll get in touch with the category team to show there on their own page. Okay. Any question here?
I'll just pause and check if there's any questions from any of our participants.
Yeah, because the slide is a little cluttered, so I'm sure somebody might have a question over here.
I can't see anything come through, but I have just noticed Andrew Higgs had put in a little earlier around the PIN code as well. So thanks, Andrew, for that.
Okay. Okay. Now, this is again part of activities which we do. It's not basically coming into marketing, but kind of marketing only. But this is push notification, which we provide from our side. But sometimes, this is something ongoing, or sometimes doesn't go. Like every event to event, we get confirmation of these kind of activity if it is adopted, this event or not. So that is why I won't be able to explain everything, because it might not come next year. For December, we don't have. For January, we might have. So this is like Twitter post or Instagram post or giveaway post, which we have it on our Amazon.in page, which we have. That is called homepage, basically. That is the third Instagram post. You can see that is Amazon.in. That is our Instagram page. We try to promote our brands over there. Yeah. So this is again paid marketing opportunities. We have co-op marketing. So my ads team will take it up this entire slide because they are, better in marketing thing. And how much is the costing and everything? I currently don't have the data for 2025. That will be receiving by January.
And that's all good. And part of our session today as well, Prasita will talk to a number of those different elements that Anshuk will bring in as well. So that's perfect.
Sure.
This helps set up part of what we're talking about a little later.
Sure.
But
So
I can also
again,
see you've got influencers over there. Do you want to just briefly, I can see influence. It's just on the previous slide. There was a bit on influencers as well. Is there anything that you're able to share on that influencer marketing and how important that is, and if it works for particular segments versus others?
Influencer marketing is basically something which directly we do not take it up. It's through a small marketing gesture which we have through co-op marketing. So once ads team will take up co-op marketing, they will let you know like how we go with Instagram and influencer advertisement. We'll guide you definitely, but that is not the part of direct marketing plan. But it's a part of marketing plan which we which we have. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
So now coming to the deals, which I was already explaining first during when I was explaining the marketing a bit. So this is 4 kinds of deals which we have now and then. So coming to the first deals, which I explained, that is BAU deals, business as usual deal, which goes on like that is a selling price. Another is a lightning deal. Lightning deal is again which used to be there. Now it is not anymore. We're not using any lightning deal these days. Now coming to the deal of the day, this is again selling price deal. This is how it is. It will be written like deal of the day, and that will be selling price, which goes on 15 days of the month. And again, we have best deals which might not be, continuing by 2025. So only one deal will be continuing in 2025. That will be deal of the day. That will be the selling price. Yeah. I think any question till now, because deals is again, it will take one session to explain everything to you, like how selling price is adjusted and how deals will be equal to the selling price. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good because it's good to just provide. What we want to do over here is we recognize in 2 hours it's impossible to know everything there is to know about e-commerce in India. So this is about setting up in such a way that people understand the broader ecosystem.
Yes. So now coming to the last page, mostly last slide of my presentation. As I said, we have multiple events every month. So this is, you can take a screenshot of this one. Starting from January, we have Republic Day and Republic Day sale. That is for 2-3 days, or it may go up to 4 days. And then we have Pongal, depending on the region where you are. In North, we don't have Pongal. In South, we have. Then we have Valentine's Day. Then we have International Brand Sale, New Year's Store, April, June. You can take a screenshot. Every month has some of the other festival going up. That is for 2 days. And Great Indian Festival coming in October, which I was talking about, that is Diwali. It is the major festival, is the biggest one. It goes up to 1 month, 30 days. And it will, it will cover all the sales if you have loss. That is a time when we expect the brands to have the biggest discount. This is basically discount which we are talking about here. If we are running deals on Diwali, we expect discounts from the brand, so that and the footfall, if you may say, that is approximately 7 to 8x of the normal BAU days. Now coming to December, this is Christmas. So this is January to December entire event calendar. Yeah. So this is it from my side. This is logistics, and that is something which I think are not important at this point of time. So
super. Prasita, thanks so much for sort of laying that overview. And I know it's always challenging in these environments to try and completely put together everything. You've done a really good job of sort of layout. I want to just again pause over here and check if there's, first from my other fellow presenters of Lucky, Anshuk, Jonathan, if there's anything that you want to just pick up or highlight that Prasita's mentioned that I know is going to lead into our part. And then at the same time, just ask the brands that we have on the call if there's any questions that they also have, you know, given the fact that we've got Prasita, who's from the team that looks after bringing in foreign brands into India. Any questions that they might have. But I first just want to go to Lucky, Anshuk, Jonathan. Anything from your side?
Lucky already knows.
Hi, Prasita. Thanks for a great presentation. I think it's always good for the audience to hear it directly from, one of the top marketplaces, not one of the top marketplace in India. Amazon does capture the highest, traffic and revenue. So it's good to hear from them that what are the trends looking like.
Yes, Lucky. Before I wind up, Shiraz, I think there's very important one point which I missed in the entire presentation, and that concerns Lucky here. So I'll give it just like how directly you can come to India for all the brand. You know how the platform works in India, deals and everything. You got a gist. Now come to the very important part, how you can enter into India market. So if you want to enter into the India market, first is either you have to have your own entity. Like for example, you have your office in Australia, you have to have an office in India, then only you can sell on offline platform or online platform anywhere. So that concerns our goods and services tax certificate and all of documentation which is required. So that is first way. Now coming to a second way wherein Lucky comes into the picture and Lucky takes the control over there here. So this is the second way how we expect the brand to come, because this is the first time when the brand are experimenting in India and they want to be on offline market, D2C, they want to be on online platform. So this is how, wherein you don't have to go get into documentation and all these requirements. Lucky comes here, Lucky and similar to Globali, other distributors are there who will come into picture. They will help you with the documentation part, import, and if by any chance any certification is required, they will guide you properly. They are the masters of the import, you may say. They will help you with any kind of questions you have, or a customs question you have. Everything will be guided by like Globali, or similar to this, Globali.
Super.
That was the important thing which I missed. Any question? I think any question, anybody?
Yeah, just gonna check over here if there are any questions from the group that we have.
Okay.
So there's one from Annette, who's part of the TIQ team, who's asking, would you be able to share any insights on the most demanded products on Amazon India? Is it across electronics, personal, household items? Any insights on category?
Sure, we can provide you guidance on which category you want to, start with. So multiple categories, as I gave example in the beginning, we did not have any earplugs till now, last 2 years. When I got in touch with Loop earplugs is again one of the topmost earplugs in Amazon.com. We got in touch with them. We don't have any competition. That is a completely new category for us. We tried that category and now it is selling like hotcake. So we have done almost of 177 millions. That's a rough idea, like how we have done. So that is completely new category, everything new, and the price point is also very high. So if we talk about price point, normally you get music earphones which plays music. That is earphone headphones, what you call. So that is priced 2,000 rupees or 4,000 rupees. That is what the average price point is. This is just the earplugs. Nothing plays. It's just a small earplug. You can just put it in and you can sleep or you can travel. And it is selling at 3,000 rupees. That is the price point. That is a very good example. And other example, which last year I onboarded one of the brand by the name of Dreamy robotic vacuum cleaner, and Ecovac is also there. That is again the market leaders. We thought like India is, because of the population we can't say cheap labor, but yes, very economical, man force we have for our household works, which we know, right? So we brought our robotic vacuum cleaner, which is completely European style of, cleaning our house. And the price point was 70,000 rupees to 90,000 rupees. And again, it is one of the top selling in India. So we will give you guidance, but I wouldn't say I would say don't restrict yourself with one category, which is, running in India, or maybe algorithm says that it will be a hit in India. I would say experiment, try to, understand the market, because last 10 years, I would say people were only confined in India or nearby countries. Now we see a lot of people moving to different countries. Each and every household, at least one of the other member is residing in any other country. So they know the trend. They know how, different countries are going ahead with. Cultural shift is completely seen in India. So that is the only point. Don't restrict yourself. Just try experimenting and you will see wonders.
And I'm glad, Prasita, that you also brought out the price point, because often when we think of India, everyone always goes with, it's a very conservative, it's a cost-conscious market. Everyone's looking for value for money. And yes, it's all of that. But when you just pointed out, that vacuum is selling between 70 and 90,000 rupees in dollars, that's in excess of $1,000. Well, well in excess of $1,000 for at the like that's the price point that we're talking about. So perfect. Thanks for that. There's another question that's come through from Danielle, which is how do we find costings to sell on Amazon? And this includes things like storage, pick and pack, etc. And I feel like Lucky, that's something you might also be well placed with.
Yes, I'll explain that to you. If you go on Google, you will find Amazon India FBA fees. You can go on the entire page. You will see picking, packaging, handling, everything is there, category by category. So it is basically, if you ask me how much will be the charges, I can't say, because it is basically category wise. So if you go on Google and find out Amazon FBA charges in India, you'll go to one website, and that will help you with all kind of charges which is there. And also talking about IXD, which is inter-cross docking kind of thing, wherein we have a facility wherein we have warehouses in topmost cities, which is called IXD enabled warehouse, wherein you have to send your inventory to that warehouse, and Amazon India will replicate it to all the other warehouses. You don't have to do anything. You just have to arrange your transportation from your warehouse to Amazon IXD enabled warehouse. And from there, Amazon will take care of everything. So basically that is.
I think a
so
good point to also share here, Prasita, is that, when any of the brands which are already selling on Amazon in any geography want to come into India, that then the transition is really easy as well. You just have to migrate your account and your ratings and everything, and your content remains. So I think that's also very easy for the brands. Yes. So maybe you could mention that as well.
Thanks for reminding, Lucky. I'll just explain that. Yeah. So Bob, again, a very important thing. If the brand is already available in any of the Amazon network, Amazon marketplaces, so we cross-list the ASIN or SKU, you may say, all the ratings and reviews which is there on the first ASIN, which was created on first marketplace, that will be completely cross-listed to Amazon India. So it will not be a zero start for you. For example, you had 20,000 rating or 2,000 rating whatsoever on Amazon.com or Australia or UK, everywhere. So that combined will be migrated to Amazon India. So that is also ASIN is something which we call, instead of SKU, ASIN is basically assigned to a product when first they come to Amazon platform. So once they have the ASIN, and with the help of that ASIN, you can cross list the product anywhere in any of the Amazon marketplaces.
Correct. There's another question as well on registering separately on Amazon India. I know a number of platforms. So if you're registered on Amazon in another country, do you still need to register for Amazon in India?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very good question. Yes, you have to register on Amazon India. And what we do once we create an account on Amazon India, we'll link it with the global account of yours. So that also helps in case, because all the transaction which happens in India is in INR, which is Indian rupee. So that is why in some of the cases the you need to change the images or so. That can be done from Amazon India Seller Central. You don't have to rely on any other Amazon Seller Central, because in India as we say, we have multiple languages. Some brands would want to change their images based on the geography. So that is also one of the facility which we have. But no, usually we use English only, but changing the image is again a very tedious process. It will go with a lot of approvals, and then we can have the regional language page, which no, usually I don't suggest, but that is also one of the a way if you want to be local in India. That is again one thing. So similar to that, there are a lot of regional things which we do in Amazon India. That is why we encourage our brands to have Amazon India Seller Center, so that once it is created, we'll link it to the global one.
Super. Thanks, Prasida, for that. Super conscious of time. There's a bit that we need to continue to work through, but Prasida, that's been really, really helpful. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Greatly appreciate you being able to share the slides that you went through, and we'll provide that to our team at TIQ, who've been responsible for pulling all of this together. So we'll do that. Just want to again just thank you very much, Prasida. You're more than welcome to stay on if you like. And again, because I know there are going to be questions that continue to come through.
Okay. If you have any question, I'll stay. Otherwise, I have to run to my office. It is early in the morning in India. So I have my daily chores. Yeah.
Super. Thank you again for taking time out for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye. Yeah. Bye. I switched off the camera. Bye.
Super. Now I want us to, so we've got that really good overview, Lucky, which kind of sets this next part up, because we're talking about how to, what do brands need to know as they'll consider marketplaces in India. So with that, I'd love to hand over to yourself, Lucky, and just talk our brands through a little bit, obviously, about Globali, and then those insights that we've been talking about.
Thank you, Shiraz. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having us here. I have been bestowed upon with great responsibility to deliver something meaningful while keeping you awake at lunchtime. You would have mostly had lunch by now, and it must be your time to catch a snooze. So I hope all the content and information doesn't become heavy, and we are starting our day in India, so I have to keep people in India awake and people in Australia awake. So I'll keep it simple. Happy to take any questions. Please pause me wherever you want. And also, I will probably, in the best interest of time, try to focus on the important information. I think Prasida has already shared about how the basics of how the India is looking like, the India entry. Correct. I'll just how I have planned my session is to talk about how the India market is looking, and then talk a bit about deep diving into what does the brand really need to gear up for if they are looking to come into India. So maybe I just dive into the introduction and I come back to Globali maybe towards the end.
Perfect.
Okay, I think my slides are...
That was yours over there, just high level on Globali. I was then just going to touch on Jonathan giving your brief piece on RooLife Group as well. So do you want to just really high level on Globali?
Yes, I'll do that. So there was a very simple thought behind setting up Globally, Shiraz. A couple of years ago, we've been working with, I have personally, individually been working on the brand side for 15 plus years now. And then the next obvious step was to go international and bring international brands into India. So we came up, I have been a brand owner myself, and I had a very simple thought that if I want to sell into global markets tomorrow, what would I look for? And that was somehow the thought behind Globally, that if someone is looking for India market entry, we give them a one-stop solution, which means that we do everything under one roof and create a full seamless solution end to end for anybody's India entry. In a way, we act as your India office. So right from, we pretty much just tell the brands that hand over your inventory to us, X country of origin. So we take over from there. We the global logistics. We are, like Prisita was mentioning, that you need a seller on record and importer on record to distribute in India. So we become your importer on record. We take care of logistics. We have our own in-house warehouses for storage of goods. Your marketplace launch strategy distribution is done by us. Your digital activation, your brand store launches, the entire customer care support, and a very important part, which is your tax compliance, financial reconciliation. Everything is run by us. So that's Globally in a crux. And I think Jonathan can come in and speak a bit about RLG as well. And then I'll go into my session.
Perfect.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning in India. So just very quickly about RLG, we're a listed company. We're actually based in Perth, Western Australia. I'm right now at the moment in Victoria, just south of Melbourne. But we're a one-stop solution for people that want to globalize, companies and brands that want to globalize. We do a lot of work already in China, and we're just entering into the India market at the moment. I just got back from about 9 days in Mumbai at Cosmoprof. I'll share a little bit about that later. But just going on from there, I think, we just wanted to highlight the opportunity that we see in the next slide. But it applies, I think, across the board to everyone today who's on this wonderful webinar, is the importance of the India market for the Australian economy. I mean, and if you combine India and China, just some important stats, right? They're 50% of global GDP. They're actually about 60% of total growth of GDP in the world in this year, and probably in the coming year as well. And very important for all of our trade between these two great nations. And both India and China are part of this story. So our group has been, myself personally, I've been trading with China for over 20 years. And now we're seeing India really as the next great opportunity. Next slide. So we're currently working in various capacities with 8 brands from Australia. Most of these brands we already sell in China, and now we're looking at India as the next big opportunity for both e-commerce and offline selling. I'll just add one. I want to turn this over to Globally and Lucky. But one just quick comment I wanted to make regarding e-commerce. And that is that if you look at a P&L of e-commerce in Australia, US, China, and what we're looking at with India now, the nuts and bolts of the P&L are actually very similar. Where it starts to really get different is actually what Lucky is going to touch on now, which is probably one of the keys if you're looking at launching on Amazon, and that's getting an importer of record. And that's what Lucky is. She's an importer of record. And at that point, you go through the India regulation part, and you go through the tariffs and the taxes to get your product into India, and then you can sell on these platforms. So with that introduction, one of the previous questions, I want to hand it over to Lucky, who we just spent a week together in Mumbai, and she's an absolute expert in this area.
Super, thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, John.
Lucky.
Thanks a lot. Okay, so this is my slide to showcase what a star India is right now. I've been saying this at all the events that I'm speaking at, there is no better time to be in India. We are, one of the fastest growing economies. We are top 5 biggest economies in the world. Our imports are sitting at almost 24%, which tells that the Indian audience is ready for an international product. We love everything that says imported, all things international. The Indian audience they are travelers. Like Prasita was saying earlier, that every family would have somebody who's either residing internationally or traveling a lot. And we know about the value and importance of international product. We are 20% of the global population. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, has been speaking a lot about us being a $5 trillion economy by 2030. And 1 to 2 trillion of this is going to come just from e-commerce. So also, as much as modern and traditional retail in the offline space continues to hold a good positioning in India, e-commerce stands as the fastest route to market entry in India. We'll keep going. Yeah. So to give you a bit more about how the India's geography and digital landscape is looking, this will help you understand better that, why is it looking the way it is looking. Indian population is a young population. I think that's another something similar that we draw from China, that big population, young population, digitally active population. The average age is 25. These people, the kids are working, they don't have responsibilities, they have disposable income, and they are absolutely willing to shop online. There's a massive digital connectivity. I think at some point in time, smartphones enter into India, and one of the players, which is Reliance, went out and gave free SIMs to everyone when they were launching Jio. So there's a great penetration in terms of digital connectivity. The very important point, and I will spend some more time on this in the next slide as well, is that we have a growing middle class. The lower class or the lower middle class is shrinking in India, and the middle class and upper middle class is growing, which has a great, family household income. E-commerce is absolutely booming. It's, we are ready to hit about 1 billion. We've already hit 103 billion, sorry, in 23, and by 27, it's going to be 200 billion. So that gives us a massive addressable market online. Another point that I want to bring your highlight to is the emergence of tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So one, that post-COVID, a lot of people took the decision to return back home and, create a livelihood in their cities. People who were living in tier 3. The other thing, tier 1, sorry. The other thing is that people in tier 2 and 3 in India have, their business families, they are exporters, they have money to spend, but they do not have a lot of physical stores or big brands in that city. So they heavily rely on shopping online to get access to the latest products which are available in the market. So e-commerce targets that audience as well. Digital payment landscape is crazy in India now. You can literally step out of your house with just your phone. Gone are the times, like I was myself thinking this, that from a local pan shop in India, which is a roadside shop seller that sells cigarette and mouth freshener, to a mall, everyone accepts digital payments in India now. So that's again a big push by the government, and we are a huge digital economy. I myself feel these days that I can just leave my house with the phone in my hand. I don't need my wallet. And you can make any amount of payment just using UPI. We call it, the online transaction payments are called UPI. You can make any amount of payment using that. Of course, the audience, like a huge audience, owes a credit card. And the last one, which is the HNI population in India has been growing, and it will rise up to 1.65 million by 27. So again, this is an audience which is ready to spend on international and imported products.
Super. Lucky, I just wanted to one thing. When we say H&I, high net worth individuals, the other thing I wanted to just cover off, you went past this one, but I just wanted everyone to know that you spoke about the middle class, and I'm so happy you mentioned the lower middle class and you mentioned the upper middle class. I just wanted our brands to recognize that in India, we don't have just a middle class.
Yeah, I have one more slide on that, actually.
Yeah, I know that the individual. So we'll come to that one, but I just wanted again, our brands to recognize that in India, it is not just one middle class, but as you pointed out over here, that middle class and high middle class and upper middle class are where we're very often looking to target. So that's brilliant.
Yes. Yeah. So I just wanted to, adding to what Shiraz was just saying, that if you see how from 2001 to 2030, how the landscape is shifting in 30 years, and how, the lower or the low mid income group, which was contributing 92% of the India landscape, is now shrinking to just, 44 or 45%. This is, showing that how the income of every family is growing up, the country is prospering. And like I said, this is a great time to be in India. You have a great customer in India. Just wanted to quickly show this number to you to just to drive home the point that how the times are changing. We'll just keep going. Okay, another important slide. So I have spoken enough about how the Indian e-commerce industry is growing, and you can see on your screen that by what is the estimation by 2032. Another important point that I want to draw here is the second graph, that um, with all of this, the effort we are making, or the way economy is booming as compared to China or US, where there is a double digit upward of 15% penetration of e-commerce, we are still sitting at 10 or lower than 10, which itself means that India still has a very long way to go still in terms of e-commerce penetration. So it is just growing. This is just the time where e-commerce is booming. Just quick points on what is driving this. Firstly, like I said, internet and smartphone penetration. Second is government has been massively pushing digital interventions. In fact, even the import export policies, we have been constantly working on them. Maybe some Shiraz or someone from TIQ team will talk about the Australia India Trade Treaty as well, ECTA ECTA. That completely knocks off some key import duties on key categories. So government has very actively been working on the geopolitical relationships or trade relationships that we have with rest of the world. um, Also, there was a huge shift in buying pattern post pandemic. All of us were stuck at home and everybody just learned how to order everything. Before that, I would say that in India, at least we had a culture of stepping out of the house to get our groceries. I think COVID took that away as well. Now everybody is ordering everything over the phone, even the essentials. And yeah, of course, digital literacy. So we can just keep going.
And I was just going to point out that one other point, Lucky, on this as well, when you talked about people ordering and things like that. I know we'll touch on this concept of quick commerce, but even within platforms like Amazon, you've got Amazon Prime customers and how they've got access to things to come through at a cheaper rate. It comes through faster. Like that's those different elements of India that again brands need to get their head around. And again, like we said, today's session is to raise those levels of awareness on understanding the different parts and elements of India's e-commerce ecosystem.
Yeah. So what are some of the categories which are driving, the imports in India? Of course, I'll start with FMCG and beauty. Most of our audience belongs to that. So, um, quick commerce especially is driving this category. Also, there's a general understanding or practice in India that whatever you have to apply to your body or consume, you have a preference to get an imported product for it. So in the premium segment, it's mostly the international brands where the beauty and the snacks category is working. So if you see health supplements, which is again a big category from Australia, snacks, beverages, fragrance, face care, hair care, mom and baby care, people prefer to pick international brands or products in these categories. Then we have general merchandise. Electronics is a very big again category like anywhere in the world, and fashion and accessories as well. Especially women's fashion, it's a large category. Wallets, bags, that's a good category to be in India as well. So coming specifically, to the category which is relevant to most of the audience here today, that how is the beauty landscape in India looking? So it's projected to reach about $34 billion by 2027, which is massive, and it's growing at almost 10 to 12% every year. Every year, the per capita spending on beauty is 15 USD as of now, but this continues to grow. Um, we were all at Cosmoprof recently, and we had a speaker from one of the top marketplaces for beauty called Tira, and he actually brought out this point to us that just couple of years ago, if you were to ask a woman in India that how many beauty products do you have in your bag, she would probably just take out one or two, and now that has gone up to almost seven and eight, which is true. People are aware about ingredients, about serums, the category. Everyone has at least a four-step skincare regime. Then people use makeup, hair care. So it's like everyone using at least 10 to 12 products every day. So beauty continues to become popular and big. The fastest channels are Nykaa, Amazon, and Tira. So Nykaa actually was one of the first pioneers who set up a marketplace which was just for beauty called Nykaa. And of course, they eventually did fashion as well. Tira is recent, and Amazon continues to drive beauty as a big category. It's a big focus for them as well this year. Um, no prizes for guessing that largely 85% of this is driven by women. But having said that, men grooming is one of the key trends that we are looking at, which is picking up. Men are saying that we don't want to use unisex products or our family products anymore. We want a range of our own. So Nykaa had to actually set up a separate category page, which is just for men's grooming, and it's a key trend. Another thing which is really picking up and which will be very relevant to Australian brands is clean and sustainable beauty. Because when I have interacted with brands from Australia, I've seen that there's a lot of emphasis on, sustainable, natural, and that sort of is a theme in India right now. We'll just keep moving. Just a bit more about how the market insights are. So if I were to just talk about the category contribution in beauty, of course, the largest is skincare. Like I said, that just in the beauty regime, people have at least 4 or 5 products. People have a day routine, they have a night routine. So everybody is using a lot of beauty. Then fragrances and deo. Hair care is 25%. Makeup is also really big. So hair care and makeup are sitting pretty equal, which is huge, because hair care is something that everyone is using, but makeup, despite being a specialist thing, still contributes about 25%. um, if we talk about the age demographics, then you'll see that it's actually the young audience, which is between 18 to 34, which is driving 70% of the revenue, which sort of tells us that it's the new audience, which they have the youngsters, they have the disposable income, they want to try something new, and they're willing to sort of experiment and see what's available in market to them. um, the third one is very interesting. It further supports our theory about getting driven through tier 2, tier 3 cities. 33% contribution just comes from rural, which, like I said, that these people don't have access to products or big brands in their cities, so they heavily rely on e-commerce for their most of their product needs.
Super. Now, Lucky, I wanted to just pause over here because I know we've just gone through a number of pieces. And before we move into, launching, I really want to take this moment over here, get brands to just start to think about what's really stood out for them as they think about, as you spoke about the digital transformation piece, and this was, touching on the tier 2 cities. It was touching on payments. It was the middle income, high, the middle class, lower upper middle. And then we also spoke about these different opportunities across categories. And I want to ask brands over here, what's standing out for them at this stage over here? So in the chat box, has there anything that's out here that's come out as a bit of a surprise, or it's just where I had no idea that was going to be relevant. So when we spoke about the payment systems and UPIs and Paytm that we have in India, just want to get brands to start thinking about what stood out for them at this stage. So feel free to put that in the chat box.
Can I also ask for a thumbs up for if I've convinced the audience enough to come to India?
And if we haven't, then we'll talk about, then we still need
then
a
I
bit
have
of work
more
to do.
selling to do.
Super. As we're waiting for that.
Just one other thing people could add into the chat box is just what your category is, because then as we go through this, we can also help to kind of tailor it to that, because category is important in terms of tariffs, opportunities, platforms, etc. So if you like totally voluntary, you could just put, if you're into cosmetics or if you're in nutrition, something like that, and that would just help guide our conversation. We got one for hair care. Educational toys, right? And I'll leave it to you.
Perfect. And there's sports and sustainability. Yeah. Perfect. All right. We'll keep going through. I am keen for you to think about those elements as we move through, because there's a bit of information. So as a brand, we need to be thinking about, what are those initial pieces that we need to consider as part of even engaging with an agency. These are some of the pieces that we need to be thinking about, the kind of questions we need to be asking as well. So a really important part, Lucky, as we know, is the regulatory environment. And Prasita did call out, right? There are two ways of entering. It's your own entity, which means there's a lot of paperwork, and we know a lot of big brands have obviously done that. But on the brands that are SME size and don't have that same kind of revenues to put towards setting up their own entity, then they look at obviously distributors in India that could help them. So and that we know is all that paperwork, which I know you had highlighted the last time. Any good distributor would not only understand it, but help guide businesses through it and also take that responsibility for it.
Yeah. Yes, so I think now the next few slides are about what to get prepared for if you have decided to come into India. The first step, compliance, sits at the top of that list. Compliance is done in India as per category, so this is just a crux. So if you are doing electronics, etc., there's a BIS which is needed. For beauty, it is CDSCO. For food, it's FSSAI, FSSAI. Testing in animal cruelty has become a important certification for beauty category, and your ingredient list also has to be given for these certifications. There is a very clear, coming to labeling requirement, there's a very clear definition by the government of India that what should your label look like. It has to declare who's the manufacturer, who's the distributor, what is the MRP, the batch number and expiry date, and all labels have to be in English, which is the language which is widely spoken in India. Like you just brought out, Shiraz and Prisita also mentioned, for selling in India, you need a GST number, which is important. So basically, you either set up your own company or use the GST number of an importer like us. We become then your importer on record, and we become your distributor on record. And the government puts if not same, I would say more emphasis on how prepared or how compliant your importer on record is. So we are always under the radar to make sure we are absolutely ahead and updated on all the compliances that are needed to distribute any product, because at the end of the day, the government catches hold of us and not the brands. And if we are not very clean and compliant, it impacts our IEC code as well. So it's very important thereby to pick the right importer on record if you're coming into India. Then there are multiple tax, which will be applicable to you. I will not, talk a lot about it, but just to break down the immediate tax that you will have to face when you're entering into India would be GST. You have to pay it upfront for the entire shipment that you're bringing into India. Of course, you can claim it back as you sell. It works in an input-output way. So you pay to the government first, and then when you sell to your end consumer, you are claiming it back as you sell. The other one is import duty. The good news is that some of the key categories are knocked off by the treaty. So this is very less or negligible with Australian brands, especially in the beauty category. Otherwise, again, the GST, the import duty is calculated, which it varies on every category. It could start from 0.5% and go up to 100 as well. But like I said, that when we have any deeper interactions with the brand, we help them work out entirely what would be the applicable duties and taxes when they come into India.
Okay.
Just speaking a bit more detailed about CDSEO, because that's the one which is the one of the toughest ones and the one which is applicable on beauty category. It's called CDSEO, which is Central Drug Standard Control Organization, which mandates this certification. This is for any beauty cosmetics company which want to enter into India. So to be even eligible for it, you need to be the original seller or manufacturer or authorized agent or subsidiary of the brand. There is a Sugam portal, SUGAM, where you have to sort of go and fill in all the details. It's a difficult and a strenuous process, so I would say don't try this at home. Work with an expert to sort of handhold you through this. I've also put very, very, very broadly that what are some key documents which are required for this. At a very broad level, how CDSEO works is that you get a license at a brand level, which is, I've also put the government fee there. So there's a fee for the brand level, then which is $1,000. Then every manufacturing site has to be registered, which is 500 per manufacturing site. Then you register the category. So if you are in multiple categories, let's say moisturizer, serums, face washes, night cream, you have to register separate categories, and then SKU under that category, you have to pay another 50 USD. So let's say if you have 4 kind of serums, you have to under serum register all 4 of them. What are the required documents? Like I said, that is a free sale of certificate which is needed, non-animal testing declaration, your ingredient list has to be there, your manufacturing licenses, details of product specifications and testing protocols, your formulations, and all of this information, like I said, that an expert will work with you to get you all the paperwork ready, and then it takes anywhere between 3 to 6 months to get the certificate coming through. So moving ahead from compliances, as a brand for your launch, what are the key events in the launch phase? And again, what all do you have to be ready for? So like I said, that it's good to create your brand stores on marketplaces. You work with marketplaces like Amazon, Nykaa, Myntra, etc. to create a good reach for your brand. Very, very important, because as much as India is a very big market, there's also a lot of competition. So we always have to tell your consumer or your end audience that why us, why me, what is the USP, why should we buy that product at that price. So very, very important, like how we talk about the what is the benefits, what are the key USPs for the brand, those has to be highlighted. That sort of content has to be ready. Then, I think Anshuk will be talking later on about this, that how can you use Meta and Google as channels to do branding for you. Very important when you're coming into a new geography, people don't know about you, and how can you leverage these tools to create more awareness. Also, marketplaces also have their own, branding options for every platform. So we also work with the marketplace teams to get the right launch, to the brands. As a launch strategy, what we recommend is that year one, start with e-commerce, which is marketplaces, which is the fastest way to enter into India. We are like I said, India is a crazy big country, and from day one you could be delivering to 30,000 postal codes, just because you're in e-commerce, and you cannot reach so many stores in your year one. So for year one, we say start with marketplace, and year two could be a physical presence, your own website, and then quick commerce, which I will talk about later. Yeah, this is just like a summary that, year one, you start with online marketplaces and then eventually, venture into quick commerce, etc. This is an important slide. The next one, just to tell you more about, what does, like I said, India is a vast country. How does the e-commerce marketplace landscape look like in India? Of course, Amazon sits on the top of this. They have 34 market percent share, and also it's one of those marketplaces which is category agnostic. Pretty much everything sells, all categories sell really well on Amazon. Um, so Flipkart and Myntra come next. Flipkart and Myntra are both, owned by the same company, the Walmart Group. So together they make a very significant contribution in distribution in India. Flipkart is a more masses-led marketplace. The average selling points would be lesser here. This is for the lower and the lower to lower upper lower middle income group. Myntra, of course, is the leader for fashion. They are the biggest for fashion in India. Uh, Nykaa again drives almost 40% in the beauty category. They were the first one, and they had the massive first mover advantage. They were the first one to start a beauty exclusive marketplace in India. So market size, like I said, is expected to hit about 300 billion by 2030. There are about 500 million customer base, which is driven by increased adoption of smartphones and internet penetration. So that's your audience. What are the dominant sectors? Electronics, fashion, beauty, grocery, those continue to be the top performing sectors. And don't go by the single digit number. In India is so big that even 5% becomes a very massive number for you. This is an important slide. India, like I said, that India has some main marketplaces, then there are curated ones, there are specialist ones. So this slide just gives you a broad idea of which is a good marketplace to go after specifically for your category. Like I said, in general, Amazon is and Flipkart both are really big. Their top categories again are electronics, fashion, wellness. They are market leaders. In beauty, we have Nykaa, and then Tira is now emerging. So Tira is a part of the Reliance Group. Reliance has again multiple marketplaces, and they are big on retail now. So they have Ajio, which is for fashion, and they have Tira, which is for beauty. They have recently acquired Sephora as well. So between Sephora and Tira, Reliance is now the big leader in beauty space as well. So BD category is about to be 6 billion by 25. Like I said, the top categories are skincare and hair care, and the trend is about organic and natural products. Um, Fashion again is very huge category, 14 billion, and Myntra, like I said, is again the leader in that. They drive at least 50% of the market share, followed by Ajio, which is the Reliance company. Food is driven more on, grocery specific channels like Big Basket, GeoMart, Nature's Basket. Amazon also has a food and grocery delivery option. And like I said, that there was a huge shift in grocery and essential buying post COVID, and now this trend is getting transferred to quick commerce, where people are getting used to a 10-minute delivery. So this is just an overview of how the marketplace landscape looks like in India. Just one more thing I want to add here, that besides category, another thing which drives the marketplace segregation is the customer segmentation as well. So, so based on what price category, or whether you are premium or bridge to luxury, or are you a brand for masses, your strategy to enter marketplaces also changes, because every marketplace has a different set of audience that they are catering to. Like we have seen this in fashion, that Myntra might do more volumes, but slightly premier brands get more pushed on Nykaa fashion, for example. So that's the next level of segregation that you have to do. First is category based, and second is audience based.
And is the advice also to look at multiple platforms, Lucky, for brands? Because again, we're conscious sometimes, they are SME brands. There's limited budgets that people have. We're never going to say India's a cheap market. Any market you go into, it's going to cost. You need to have budget. But at the same time, thinking about, what's the best way to think about this? Is it really looking at multiple, if you're going to make that investment, do it right. So is the advice over there partly, you will need to consider to be on multiple platforms around that gaining brand awareness as well?
This is a good question, Shiraz. I'm glad you brought it up because I missed it. We typically advise that since you want to capture as many eyeballs and as much a big market size, it is good to be on at least 3 to 4 marketplaces. Like I said, they all have audiences of their own. Another thing which we advise is that sometimes and I got this asked a lot at Cosmoprof as well, because the brands there got approached by a lot of marketplaces, and but if you sign one marketplace or you sign a marketplace to bring you into India, then they have exclusivity rights for you, and then you end up selling on just one channel. And India is so big that just one channel will never get you the sales. So we recommend to the brands that it's better to go with an importer who will give you multiple launch options, as opposed to going with a single marketplace, unless of course they have some commitment on numbers on visibility that they are giving to you.
Super. Thank you. I just want to make sure that if there are any other questions from the brands that we have on the call, there's one that's just come through on Nike. Is Nike similar to Amazon in warehouses and I'm assuming that's distribution.
Yes. So how Nykaa works is actually both Amazon and Nykaa both work like that. Amazon has both the options, which is FBA, where you put inventory in Amazon, fulfilled by Amazon, where you put inventory in Amazon warehouses. But you can also, keep the inventory in your distributor's warehouse. I will talk about it, and then you ship from there. How Nykaa Beauty works is that if they are signing you and launching you exclusively, then they have that option of keeping the entire inventory in your warehouse. But if we are working with them like with importers like us, then they work on a PO based system, which means that um, they keep giving you as per your numbers that you are fulfilling. They have a buy plan in place, and they keep giving you POs of small quantities, and we have to uh, let's say send that inventory, which could be a sales of 1 week to 15 days or 20 days. They keep that inventory in their warehouse, but this is all moved through a PO, which means that you get that that is like a closed order. You will get that payment.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for your question there, Danielle. And then thinking about you've neatly called out your 8-step process, Lucky.
Yeah, so it's actually very simple. And, each time I'm, making presentations like this, I realize that it is so easy to now go live in India thanks to our policies, thanks to the digitalization. A brand which is sitting in the comfort of their houses in an international geography can actually, with just few clicks, go live in India. So, number one is that Globally, for example, is live with all the marketplaces. So it's like a plug and play for us when we are adding a brand. Of course, we have to get approval from the marketplace team. We can't add it on their own, they add it. But the whole onboarding is like sort of taken care of. It's just an additional brand which is going live. um, so of course our GST, our details are there. Even if you are, like somebody was I think asking this question to Prasita, that even if you are taking that route, that you're migrating your Amazon account and you are selling your goods also directly to FBA, even then you need a GST number. So you need an importer on record in that case as well. Then you go ahead and create a brand store. It's your page. It's like your mini store inside of the marketplace. Amazon and couple of more marketplaces let you do that, which is creating your own mini store or a brand store inside of marketplace of their website. Um, so if you see step 4, that the pickup is our warehouse. Globally is approved by all the marketplaces in India for the warehousing. So we can have a distribution to X number of marketplaces. And also how this helps, Shiraz, is that when you're launching into India, of course, your first year you are going conscious on everything. The greatest cost I feel for a brand to enter into another geography is the inventory cost. So when you are using the same inventory to distribute to multiple channels, it's really effective because you don't have to send 100 pieces, for example, to one place. You are using those 100 pieces to list everywhere, and wherever you get an order from, the Globally warehouse will ship it to that marketplace. um, like I said, self ship, easy ship, both the options are there. Even from our warehouse, we can, either use our own courier partner to dispatch, or we can sign up for Amazon courier partner as well to come and pick it up from our warehouse. And same is for our all marketplaces. Myntra, Nykaa, Tira have all their logistics partners, so we just have to keep the product ready for dispatch, and their team comes and sort of picks it up from the warehouse. Post sale, our bank account receives, the payment on behalf of the brand. We do monthly reconciliations, and in terms of what was sold, what was done, all of that is taken care by us. And all of this, we sort of, the whole launching and everything we do once the warehouse, the goods are in warehouse, the whole listing, the cataloging. Even if a brand already has listing on Amazon, anywhere else, or they have an existing content, we still work with the brand to localize the content.
Super. I'm conscious of time, so we're gonna
Yeah.
just move through. Lucky, I know this is a really important compliance piece as well on
Yeah, so I'll
these
just take
elements.
maybe one or two slides, Shiraz, and maybe skip
Yeah.
to the ones towards the end. Yeah, sorry, you were saying something.
No, perfect. I'll let you go into these elements because I know these are really important for brands to understand these elements of market entry.
So if you were to have just one takeaway from the session today, like my session today specifically, this is the slide. It sort of encapsulates everything that you need to prepare to enter into India in a single, I would say, grid. Of course, like I said, first is compliance, and you need to prepare your ingredient list, the MRPs, your product quality report, all of that has to be prepared. What do you have to prepare in terms of marketing assets? Your brand logo, a presentation of the brand. Like I said, that even if Globally is already live with all the marketplaces, we still have to pitch and convince for every new brand we add to the marketplaces, because there's a huge waiting. Sometimes there's even a waiting of 2 months to get into the marketplaces. So of course we can leverage on a relationship, but the marketplace team has to find you and your product meaningful enough to be taken live, because everybody is competing to bring the best brand. So a good presentation which talks about what have been your success stories, what are you known for, what countries you are selling to, what are your best sellers, what are your hero categories. A good presentation about that would be helpful. Your product shoot, then again a picture of the carton with brand logo. This is more in terms of when we are doing onboarding on marketplaces, this comes in handy. We need product images on white background. Video and photo content really helps. So again, Anshuk will talk more about this, but especially for beauty and FMCG category, video catalogs are becoming extremely important. Of course, your product catalog, awards and credentials, because like I said, you're new to India market, and any content that you can give us to back your story in India will be really helpful for us. Any clinical studies, especially if you are like a beauty brand, and we see that a lot of brands have this whole video or pictures about before and after, and some research that they have done. Again, that's really helpful. What are the legal documents which are needed if you have to sell? Then of course, first is a brand authorization letter where you tell us that, okay, we authorize, for example, this importer or Globally to sell on our behalf in India. We need a trademark certificate. There's a commercial invoice which shows a transition of goods. um, the certificate of incorporation and tax registration certificate for your country. For our country, for India, we'll use ours. And of course, the compliance documents once we have them. Coming to product requirements, we need the HSN code is very important. Picture of packaging, all sides. Again, this helps in onboarding. Um, Details of your package size, what are the dimensions? Again, it helps us to calculate the logistics cost, the net weight and gross weight of your individual product and your pallet, and manufacturing and expiry date.
I think you're right, Lucky. This is that one slide that summarizes it all for a brand on these different elements that they need to consider. What I will also say to all the brands on the call, this slide pack, we're only able to go through a few slides. Our actual pack that we send you will have a lot more slides to it as well. And again, remembering this is a starting point, your key point of contacts will be the TIQ team, who will then be able to continue to reach out and connect you with our speakers. Lucky, this will be that last slide that I would really want to land on over here on quick commerce before I move to Jonathan and then Anshuk. But quick commerce is a really important concept for brands to understand.
Yes, I was also thinking that I'll skip all the slides after this. I'll just quickly talk about quick commerce and take a pause there. So quick commerce is something which has happened to India very recently. We just got lazier and we started to build maybe, memory problems that we are not remembering. We need something and then we remember it at last minute and then we want to order it and we need it like as of the last minute. And that's where I think quick commerce. So it was actually started by Zepto was actually started by two kids who are like 21 year old, and maybe they just thought that, oh, I want something really fast. I think this generation thinks like that, and that's how quick commerce started in India. Basically, this is focused to FMCG and essentials. Now, of course, larger categories like fashion are getting added. People can now order an iPhone and get it in 10 minutes. It's growing massively in India, and but it's something which is still starting in the tier 1 cities only, like the metro cities. There's just one more slide on this, Shiraz, if you can just go to that, and we'll just pause there. If you can just go to the next one.
One second.
Yeah. So these are the big ones like the Zepto, Blinkit, Swiggy, Instamart. This is how the category looks like. Blinkit holds the largest share right now. Then there's Zepto, there's Swiggy, Instamart. Big Basket is there, and now we are hearing that Flipkart Minutes Flipkart has started Flipkart Minutes, which is also about quick commerce. What are the key categories here? Grocery, fruit and vegetables, packaged foods, household essentials. Like I said, that it's young consumers who are driving this, especially the working professionals. You're stuck at work, you want a snack, you've forgotten something, you're cooking and you remember an ingredient, you can order it and actually get it under 8 to 10 minutes. The order size is less here because, like I said, these are all fast moving product, but the purchase drivers are convenience, urgency, the wide availability of product, and of course just the time saving benefits. I think, Shiraz, I'll pause here. It gives an overview. I think the next few slides were just about a case study and more about Globally, so we can skip all of that and maybe
we'll provide
move
that,
on to
and
the
I
next
know there's
session.
enough. Correct. And I know there's enough context there for brands to unpack. Jonathan, I want to move into your section, just give you that ability, because you've been in India just now for the last 9 days, just gotten back. But prior to that, you've been spending quite a bit of time this year back and forth. And I know you've had a number of interesting insights. So I'd like to just sort of keep it to those key categories, and then we'll move into Anshuk's piece. I'll let you come off mute.
I certainly want to give time for Anshuk because I think what he's got to share is really key. And I think that plays into my first slide. This was my personal discovery over the last 6 to 8 months in India, is that India is the most powerful country in the world in terms of users across Alphabet and Meta. So everything we use, YouTube, Google, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, etc., and soon to be both in LinkedIn and Amazon, the world's biggest user base. So instead of us teaching them about our brands, they would look into our brands and they would tell us how our brand is performing globally because of their knowledge and access to data. Just another point is that completely different than China, they use our apps, but also all of the Chinese apps are banned. So WeChat, Tmall, etc., all of those apps, there's over 300 banned apps in India from China. So the good news on that is that what you've done on these big platforms in Australia is going to help you in India. The bad news is that, or could also be good news, is that if you haven't done a lot, that's gonna show as well. So Anshuk is really going to take us through this part. So on to the next slide. And this plays to both Globali and Adyogi. We've been to India now 3 or 4 times this year, and we've met with 19 different suppliers of services in India to look for the right partners for Australian brands. So I'm going to say from our perspective, RooLife Group, we work on e-commerce and global scaling of brands all over the world. We picked to work with Lucky Globally and the Adyogi team as our key partner. So from our perspective, they've got a lot of credence and relevance in what they do. Just to the next slide. I wanted to just share some of what we've done. So we have with Globally and their team and Austrade, and also TIQ is also present for this. We've signed an agreement with GeoMart to launch an Australian pavilion. This is probably more in the food categories and health categories. That's just one of our initiatives since launching in India. And then going on, I wanted to share some personal observations to the next slide. So at the high end of the market, there are already some Australian brands getting into the market, but for all due intents and purposes, right now in India, FMCG is at a very small scale. So to me, and from my observations, from where we are at this point, it's all really upsides. And having personally had the experience of the growth of China, having worked with China since around 2000, all the way through to today, I see where India is at right now is just on the verge and already starting of big consumerism, which is what Lucky said on her slide with the moving of the middle class into purchasing power. And so we're just at the very beginning of that. To the next slide. So with beauty and skincare, essentially this is Nykaa. Nykaa and Tira and Amazon are probably the 3 biggest online markets for beauty. But Nykaa, as an example, we went into many Nykaa stores, and also if you look online today, and there may be some correction to this because things are moving so fast. There are virtually no Australian brands present. And so that's hair care, cosmetics, beauty, you name it. This, to me, is just exactly what happened in China. In 2010, it was the same way. There was zero beauty and personal care from Australia in China. So I see this as a major opportunity, first mover advantage. So there was a hair care brand in here. Nykaa actually told us that Tira actually told us that is one of their key categories that they're looking for with Australian beauty. So I see it just as a massive opportunity. And then also with the free trade agreement, those tariffs are going down to 0. Just moving forward.
And I think the only other thing to call out, though, is that there is competition there, Jonathan, and it's coming from Korea, Japan, and UK.
Absolutely, huge competition. This is I don't see any brands from this space, but there are a few players already in the market, namely Swiss Blackmores. Natio in the skincare, and Kevin Murphy has had, as I know you guys talked about this at the last, they're huge in the market already, but they have been in the market for probably 8 or 9 years since their very initial launch. So yeah, to the next slide. I just want to share, what we did with Austrade, and there were also brands from TIQ from Queensland with us, but what I found remarkable is that at our stand, we had every major platform come, visit the stand, and look at our stand with great interest, look at the products in detail. And for Amazon in particular, they don't have a lot for cross-border in this space yet. and it's definitely a category that they're wanting to grow in. And then I think I just have one more slide that I wanted to emphasize. So look, this is not unlike the questions you need to ask yourself for going into any market. I think the first thing you need to understand is your price versus function and how it looks from an India perspective. The marketplaces themselves are actually very similar to things like Tmall, like Amazon, like .coms at the very high level. Of course, they have specific things for India that you need to pay attention to. But the key thing, I think, that Australian brands, this is from my personal perspective and what I've learned so far, is that this number 2 point is really understand where you stand from a position of tariffs, the VAT, which is 10 to 20%, depending on the category. India tariffs can be from 5% up to 60%. If you're in wine and spirits, they can go up to 100% and plus. So you have to understand that. So your tariffs, your taxes, and also your trademark, very important. India competitive analysis, I mean, you can start doing some of that yourself right now, because unlike China, where there's a mask over these things, you can go to these platforms and start looking up your competitors now. And then home market success is kind of what I mentioned before, is that everything that you've done already is going to translate into the India market. So Anshuk is going to talk to that now. By the way, Anshuk and the Adyogi team, they're not only specialists in India, but they actually help brands to scale what they call local to local. So if you need help in your Australian market as well to pump up your brand on these various social and e-commerce platforms, they can help you there as well. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Anshuk and the Adyogi team, and he's going to share more specifics.
Super. And I just wanted to just cover off as well. I've just put it in the chat box. We've spoken about Ekta a few times. I know you briefly mentioned it when it comes to wine as well. Wine's one of the categories that's covered under Ekta, and these and those costs are going to continue to reduce. So those tariffs barriers that we have, it's on that list, and we're and just to call that out. So feel free for brands to have a look at that. Jonathan, as I said before as well, with the same thing, your slides as well, there are a few more I know which will be on the pack that we distribute, including contact details. But Anshuk, I want to bring you in. We recognize that as part of brands moving into India, marketplace will be, initially their part of their core strategy. The D2C or direct to consumer can't be underestimated, even if they think that, hey, we'll do some of this work as part of our roadmap in month 9 or in, month 12, 16, 18. There's still a lot of emphasis that we need to understand on different channels that need to be used when it comes to India, and it's like no other. So with that, would like to just have you guide us through a few of these elements that brands need to be aware of.
Absolutely, Shiraz. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jonathan, for that double click on the importance of social in India. India, of course, is a very diverse market. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and WhatsApp, all 4 of them have more than close to 500 million active users in India. And these are monthly active users I'm talking about. And in fact, WhatsApp is close to 600 million. So India is very, very big on these large social and search apps. I want to start with a quick intro of myself. I'm one of the founders of Adyogi. We have been in the e-com space for the last 10 plus years, started in 2014. And we work with some of the largest fashion, apparel, beauty brands in India, and now in UK and Australia as well. Our focus is how do we grow them profitably on ad channels like Meta and Google. We work with brands like Forest Essential, Sephora, Sugar Cosmetics. Each of them are big in India. They started with $1 million annual GMV and have scaled to 10 million, and in some cases even 50 million per annum. Now, I know we all think about D2C as primarily a channel of sales. Of course, that's how D2C started in 2000 and I would say 2015 when Shopify started getting popular in India. But we've also seen that D2C also becomes a channel for brand building. And we have seen so many cases when brands start to advertise on social platforms, they are able to get higher brand search volume even on marketplaces like Amazon, Nykaa and Myntra. So I want to urge everybody who is present today to not think of D2C just as a sales channel. D2C is an incredible branding channel in India. We have seen numerous cases of brands which are present on D2C get a lot of advantage when they are thinking from their marketplace growth story. And marketplaces also happen to be crowded. Lucky spoke about a bunch of marketplaces. She spoke about nitty-gritties of each of them. But what you also realize that marketplaces have a lot of brands on them. So it's very critical for your brand to stand out on marketplace. And that is where D2C as a channel also helps. For today, I will cover 5 very crisp strategies which we have seen work on D2C, or we can call work on social and search. And each of these will be relevant for brands which are launching in India. And I'll talk about how they are relevant in each of the subsequent points. The first and the foremost is Performance Max. Now, I know you would have heard about Performance Max by Google. It's basically shopping ads. So when somebody is searching on google.com, maybe you're searching for a sunscreen, you're searching for a face cream. We have seen that Google shows these paid ads which land on the product page. What is very, very critical is many of these searches are non-brand search. So people might be searching for category, people might be searching for product, and your product can appear in these searches. So if you just, these are all the properties where a Performance Max campaign typically shows. It shows on YouTube, it shows on search, discover and maps. But the most important of this is the shopping, which is the extreme left. So we would definitely recommend brands to be present on Performance Max, because a lot of searches in India continue to happen on Google. I do understand a good share of them happens on Amazon and Nykaa these days, but Google still remains to be the dominant platform for search. So if you just go to the next slide, this is an example of a beauty brand in India. And this is this generic search, sunscreen SPF 50. And we have seen that if the title of your product contains all the right attributes, we have seen the brand and the product is able to appear on the top. So I would highly urge, I understand that feed hygiene is very critical for marketplaces, but it is equally critical for the D2C channel. So making sure that your title of your product contains the SPF guidelines, it contains the ingredients of the products, it contains the use cases of the products are very, very critical. And these titles can be uploaded on Google Merchant Center so that they can power the shopping ads on Performance Max. A big call out here that we all talk about paid ads on Google, but Google also helps in organic. So if you see the shopping tab at the top beside the all, I'll probably just try to highlight it. The shopping tab is the organic shopping clicks on Google. So even if a brand is not running ads, just by uploading the feed on Merchant Center, there are a lot of searches which happen on organically on Google. We will see a lot of organic traffic coming on the website. Just go to the next slide. And these are some of the mandatory parameters which are critical when setting up the feed on Merchant Center. I'll briefly skim through them. We spoke about title. Product identifiers are important. Getting the right GTIN number is very, very critical. Making sure that shipping, returns, and promotion information is correctly called out. So delivery timeline is a very critical parameter on Google in India in general, because it's a vast geography. So we would recommend adding this information when uploading the catalog on Google. This is just a brief success story which I wanted to call out today. We have seen that having the right feed is very critical to growth. We published this joint case study with Google and Adyogi, where we saw a 56% increase in their paid and organic clicks from Google just by getting the feed right. So we'll just go to the next slide. That was the first strategy, which is basically get your feed right on Merchant Center. The second one is demand gen. Now, some of you would have heard of demand gen as a campaign from Google. This is relatively new, less than 2 years old. Demand gen runs across all the 5 properties of Google. So YouTube Shorts, YouTube Stream, Feed, Discover on Android, and Gmail. And this is one of the most powerful platforms for a new brand to be present, because it's largely omnipresent across all these 5 properties. I also mentioned that YouTube has more than 500 million active users. So just being present on YouTube gives the brand a good presence. It's primarily, it can also be linked to catalog. So you can identify the best selling products in your feed and link them to to each of these campaigns. The benefit is when people see the brand assets, they also see specific products of the brand, and they can click and land on the product page directly. So if you just go to the next slide, I'll cover a couple of very crisp strategies which a brand needs to use when advertising on demand gen. The number one is we recommend it to be running only in selected cities in the country. So India is a vast geography. So we typically recommend starting with either the tier 1 cities, which could be like 4 or 5 cities, or maybe a tier 1 plus tier 2 combination. We don't recommend running across the country because you might be spreading your budget too thin. And demand gen has that capability to run in specific cities. We also recommend excluding any existing audience, basically pushing demand gen to reach out to newer people in the target persona. Plus, Google has also combined the search intent with demand gen. So very few people know that you can actually target people based on what they were searching in the last, let's say, 30 days on platforms like YouTube and demand gen. So you can actually put in all those search queries like sunscreen and face cream and target specifically those people who were searching on google.com. So this happens to be one of the most powerful features because you can sort of get your brand out to very specific niche of people who have a search intent in the last, let's say, 30 days. So we'll move on to the third strategy which I wanted to cover today. If you just go to the next slide. So Meta has been pushing a lot on AI. I know we have all heard about some of the AI capabilities of Meta, but Advantage Plus campaign, Advantage Plus shopping campaign to be precise, works exceedingly well in India. This is Meta's AI trying to figure out who are the best target audience for any specific brand. So Meta automates the creative, it automates the destination, it automates the targeting as well. And we are seeing roughly about 40% of the budget going into Advantage Plus campaigns. We just go to the next slide. So this is one very key data point which I wanted to throw out today. We all know that there are roughly about 2 billion people active on Instagram globally on a daily basis. What many of us may not realize is these 2 billion people are watching 200 billion reels on a daily basis. So roughly on an average, every person on Instagram globally is watching 100 reels per day. And I'm sure there are people who are watching 400 reels, 500 reels per day as well. And every time when I've said about the statistics, I have some people in the group who say this number doesn't sound very large because we ourselves watch more than 100 reels per day. So India also is not far behind in these statistics. We don't have specific country statistics, but India reels are really, really popular in India. So I would definitely urge brands to go for short form content, both on Instagram and YouTube. If you just go to the next slide. So Meta also has partnership ads, which they launched a couple of years ago. The key difference is the ad seems like it's coming from the influencer direct. So it looks more organic than just paid. And we have seen partnership ads do really, really well, especially when we go with a influencer, or it could be a slightly larger influencer or even a micro influencer. And we have some good success stories where acquisition cost has come down by 20% just by getting the right partnership ad going on with the influencer. Especially for beauty categories, we have realized that video content does exceedingly well, because unlike fashion, where when you look at an image, you pretty much know the use case. It's probably a red dress, and you know red dress can be worn in a party. When it comes to beauty, we have seen that the USP of the product is not very clear when we just look at the image of the product. We need someone with a face and a voice to really talk about the USP of the product, which is why video content becomes very, very critical to scaling a beauty, a health and wellness, a nutrition sort of a category. Going to the next slide. So this is a success story of a apparel brand. They used Reel plus partnership ads, and they saw that they were able to reach out to much bigger audience, 35% higher reach, and also got much lower CPCs. So Advantage plus Reel plus partnership ads will be a very strongly recommended strategy from our side. Last two things which I wanted to cover today in the interest of time. Meta also sometime back rolled out collaborative ads. Very few of us might know that you can actually now run an ad on Meta and divert people to marketplaces like Nykaa, Myntra and Blinkit. Each of these three platforms, Meta has tech integration, which effectively means that not only can you divert traffic to these marketplaces, you can also do conversion optimization on top of it. Basically saying that you show an ad on Facebook, people click and land on a platform like Blinkit. If they add the product to cart, Facebook pixel gets fired. So you're able to optimize the campaign. If they make a purchase, again, Facebook purchase pixel gets fired. So you could have always run an ad on Facebook and divert it to Amazon, but Amazon does not send the signals back to social platforms. In India, Myntra, Nykaa and Blinkit, all three have partnerships with Meta that they send the signals back to Meta. So it enables advertisers to optimize their campaigns and show ads to specifically those people who are more likely to purchase. The added benefit is you can also remarket people. So if somebody came on a Myntra page and added a product to cart of your brand and did not make the purchase, you can actually show them an ad on Meta to remarket the exact same user. And this, in my opinion, is one of the most powerful features. Even if a brand does not want to go full blown into the D2C channel, they can at least get their dynamic remarketing up and running on the Meta platform. If you go to the next slide, we have a small success story of a brand which is actually diverting traffic from social platforms and landing on the marketplace. We saw a very good ROS coming right off the bat. So 2.3x ROS coming from these ads. Over a period of time, we also saw the ROS go up because you can remarket the same audience. The last fifth strategy which I want to talk about today is WhatsApp. I think no communication or marketing in India ends without talking about WhatsApp. WhatsApp has 600 billion active users. It's the highest of all the four platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and WhatsApp. Unlike what we see in Australia market, in India, a lot of business happens on WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is not just considered as a private and a personal channel. WhatsApp is also considered as a channel of business. So we see a lot of communication from business to customer happening over WhatsApp. WhatsApp has also evolved quite a lot in India. They have these three very cool features launched, which I have shown on the screen. One, you can actually have call to action buttons on WhatsApp, where you can click and sort of book a meeting as well. You can show the catalog on WhatsApp, which is multi-product messages. You can see this cool image of multiple products coming on the same screen. And you can also add a product to cart on WhatsApp and even proceed to checkout and make payment using the WhatsApp payments. So in many ways, if a brand does not have a D2C presence or does not want to maintain one, the entire conversion funnel can actually happen on WhatsApp. So this is very, very powerful. We definitely urge the brands to give WhatsApp a try. And the next slide is pretty much the last slide where I talk about specific beauty use case on WhatsApp. So beauty also happens to be a very consultative selling. We have seen that people do have questions when they're actually buying a product in the beauty space, even for that matter, health and wellness space. WhatsApp has the added benefit that not only they can power the purchase funnel, they can also have consultative selling on top of it. So if a person has any questions while making the purchase, you can actually put in a chat question and you can have agents reply to that chat. In many ways, we've also seen AI agents actually reply on that chat. So any consultative use cases, WhatsApp has really picked up very well in the market. If you just go to the next slide, so that sort of summarizes the 5 key strategies. Back to you, Shiraz.
No, perfect. was going to just, I'll just share that your 5, just as that summary, as you pointed out, I'll just put that on the thing over here for you.
Perfect. So I'll just summarize these 5 key points for everyone present here. Number 1 is make sure you get your feed right on Google Merchant Center. It helps in both paid and organic. Demand gen, including YouTube, is a great way to brand your products and brand. Meta AI plus Reels plus partnership ads is a very good channel. We have seen short form content really explode in India. There can be ads running on Meta to divert traffic to Nykaa, Myntra, and Blinkit. You can also remarket them. These are known as collab ads. And lastly, WhatsApp for consultative selling does really, really well. So these would be the 5 top strategies we would recommend for a brand which is entering in India. And a big double click on seeing D2C as a branding channel in addition to just as a sales channel.
Again, a really, really good point, Anshuk. So thank you for highlighting that piece around not just the D2C sales channel, but as you pointed out, it's about brand building. The things that Australian brands need to recognize as well. We might have really good brand recognition in Australia. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's translated to great brand recognition in India. We do have. I've just got this survey link up on the screen. The request that I do have for brands that are on there on this call, I've also put a link into the chat box. Is if I could request you all, it's part of our mandatory reporting. We'd also provide this back to TIQ. It's a short survey on how you found today's session. I'll let brands either click on the QR code. Either click on the QR code or in the chat box there is there's a link over there for you to use. But while brands are doing that, I know we've got about, I'm going to say 2 minutes before I do want to hand back to the TIQ team for final closeout. There is one question which is around, do you recommend having a digital marketing company based in India? Is it favorable for the algorithms or not? Or can we do it from here in Australia, targeting the Indian audience? Is there any thoughts on that from yourself, Anshuk?
I can pick that up. Yes, of course. So technically, Meta and Google do allow us to do global targeting. So you can sit out of Australia or any part of the country, any part of the globe actually, and run ads on any other geography, including India. So it can be done. The only caveat being there are certain nuances of the Indian geography, given it's very diverse and quite large, honestly, which a local agency in Australia may not have in-depth insights into. So while it can be a good starting point, I do feel that when you have to go double down into the Indian geography, having that local nuances can help, for which an agency in India definitely has an advantage.
Super. Thank you for that. I've also just put on screen Simon Couch's details. So Simon is the point person at TIQ for anything related to e-commerce. So again, brands can feel free to reach out to them. Again, a big thank you to everyone who's been with us at the session today. Anshuk, big thank you to yourself for taking a really complex area and being able to bring it down to quite an easy way to understand with your 5 key ways. Jonathan, thank you so much for sharing your insights. Lucky as well. And of course to Prasita, who's had to leave the call. Big thank you. Andrew, just again want to acknowledge yourself and the team at TIQ who've been absolutely outstanding in bringing all of this together. Just again, yeah, big thank you to yourselves and the team.
Thanks so much, Shiraz. And again, Trade and Investment Queensland is here for all those Queensland clients that are on the call to support your entry and launch into the Indian market. If you are after the contact details of any of today's speakers, feel free to reach out to myself and Simon Couch that are on the call. During the call, we did have our Senior Trade and Investment Commissioner for South Asia, Abhinav Bhatia, join. We also have other members of our Indian team on this call, Annette and Samiksha. But do contact us and we look forward to helping you in the Indian market. So thanks again to Prasita, Lucky, Anshuk, Jonathan, and of course, Shiraz at Asialink Business. If I could just ask all the speakers to remain on the call, But thank you to all our other attendees, both at TIQ and externally today.
Thank you.
So